Now, you said earlier finding the right partner is important, right? And you have found what seems to be the right partner. Tell me how that relationship and how you made sure this business marriage was going to be the right one for you. Because I'm sure it is a business marriage, right?
It is a
So,
business marriage. Don't get
what
it
was
twisted.
okay? So, what was some of the due diligence that you put in place before you said yes? Let's go.
Well, when we met. His name is Thomas Foley, and we met. We didn't meet with the idea of being partners. It was actually he's an attorney, and so I had someone introduced me to him to do something that I needed to get done. We started talking, and the more we became interested in what each other's skill set was, we took it slow. Because of my previous relationships with investors, I am not quick to make any decision when it comes to investors, because what most don't realize is like you're stuck with them. Like the only way to get out is to close the business that I'm pretty sure you fought really hard for, or buy them out. And truthfully, if you have enough to buy them out, you probably wouldn't have used them. I mean, you know what I mean? You wouldn't have had them in general. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy. So for he and I, we did a small project first just to see how it would work out. And that smaller project was good because he allowed me to be me, which meant to do all of it. And then eventually Chicken Shacks opened, and he is incredible at making the deal. I'm incredible at getting the deal. He finishes it, closes it, makes sure it's rock solid. When we opened Southern Table, I remember having the conversation saying, "Hey, T, I need help with Southern Table. Like, I can't do this one." He had never really been in the restaurant scene like that. He had done more work on the back end of restaurants and franchises and things like that, but in the restaurant, not so. When I tell you that he rose to the occasion, went from not being in a restaurant, previous years of us working together, so almost every day, making sure that the vision that we discussed was getting done, setting up the right people. People often talk about our hospitality and that it's none like it in Dallas. And part of that is because he didn't come from the restaurant business. So he doesn't have these preconceived notions of how things should be, right? It's like, well, for him, it's like when people talk about pre-pandemic, he's like, I don't know anything before that. So like for me, this is normal, and we're adapting and doing and all of that. So it has been a great partnership. I will say, take your time. If you can do something small together. The thing, it's almost like getting married, right? You want to see how you handle the bad days, right? Like, how does that person argue? Or do they use their words? Do they get quiet with you? Is it a silent treatment, right? Like it's like, how do you communicate when you know something's going to happen? So for us, we do really well because we have different roles as well. So it's just he and I within the company, and he does a lot of back end. He makes sure that accounting and things we discuss. He does payroll. He makes sure the deal and setting up all the next one. He handles our franchise things. And then he also helps with front of the house. Like, he really runs front of the house as well. And I deal with anything that is food, media, marketing, and anything dealing with employees. Pretty much I'll do for all the locations, catering.
Wonderful. If you don't mind me asking, workforce, I know that has been a challenge in the industry, definitely since the pandemic. How has that been for you, and just making sure that you're building the right team?
I mean, it's a rocky road. Workforce is better than it was. Even 6 months ago, it's better. A year ago, it's better. I mean, we had the same challenges everyone had. But right now things are better. Fully staffed. I feel like I need to knock on some wood in every location. We have a really great core team that's been with us for a while. Almost all the restaurants, all three, have core team members. And Southern Table, it's crazy. We probably have quite a few people that's been with us for the length of the restaurant. And so that's great to see that kind of commitment.
And would you attribute it, I believe, if they enjoy what they're doing, and especially who they're working for, that definitely can translate into long term, would you say? So, what would you say the leadership style that you and Tom are bringing to these restaurants obviously is working,
Yes,
because like
it
you
seems
said.
to be. But we also do things different. One of the things that I realized for me was I wanted to make sure that we had health care.
Mm,
Growing up in the culinary industry, you just oftentimes don't have insurance. It
right,
is what it is. It's expensive. Restaurants, the owners really pay quite a bit for you to have insurance. And when you already have margins that are so thin, it's sometimes hard to figure that out. And I can tell you, I wanted it from day one of us opening restaurants, and I didn't get it to like year 4 or 5, right? Like it took time to figure it out. It took time to financially be sound enough to offer it. And then I remember the first time we offered it, I did all of this. Tom did all this work. We fought hard to get it, and then no one wanted it. You're like, wait a minute.
wow,
And then you
wow.
have to have a certain amount of people signed up, and so it was a lot of steps. But offering healthcare, we also switched to 3 days off, especially
Okay,
for our kitchen
nice,
workers. So we
nice,
do, they work 4 days, 10-hour shifts, and then they get 3 days off. A
nice.
balance of lifestyle. What I realize is that if I'm trying to always be the person paying the most, I'll never win, because there will always be the next person that is willing to pay more than really the restaurant can handle.
Right, right.
So I decided that I wanted to give them quality of life and also a
I
good
like that.
rate, right? Like, so you come in, you're going to get insurance, you're going to have time off, you're going to be able to spend time with your family. You're also going to be in an environment where you're learning. That's important because most people aren't environments where they're learning,
Right.
and being challenged and enjoying the work that they do. I mean, the amount of cooks that tell me, Chef, I've never worked at a place like this where I love coming to work. Like, I love coming to work, and I'm like,
Oh,
okay, thank you, but it's a great thing. But I told them, there's going to be a day when you don't love coming to work, and
mhm,
it's important to understand how you handle that as well when it becomes to feel like, like a job. And we all have those moments in life where whatever we loved is now starting to feel like a task.
right.
And how do we transition that instead of just saying, oh, I'm moving on to the next thing? How do we grow even within that? And so, we do a lot of class on financial education. And so we offer that. We do team building as well. We've closed the restaurant just because we all needed a day of rest and hanging out, and figuring out who we are as a restaurant. And again, I think the team building is so important. And that's the piece that a lot of places I feel like miss out on, because we're so hungry trying to figure out profits, that if
Mm,
we understand that there are other principles to getting profit, then we would do much better. But even just like my team did on Tuesday, they did a farm visit to like a mushroom farm, and they loved it. And I didn't
mm,
set it up; they set it up.
yeah.
And so I think those are really great things to attribute, not to just myself, them. They're very much on path to making a better life for themselves.
I love that, focusing on quality, because like you said, you could try to pay the most, but then someone's gonna outbid you, but it doesn't matter if you're making this money eventually and you got a crappy environment that you're working,
Exactly.
doesn't make a difference. So we are, I believe, 2 weeks into Triple Chef Throwdown.
Bobby's triple threat. Yes.
Yes, yes. Tell us about the show and your role.
So Bobby Flay is the host, and we're so used to seeing Bobby cook. In this particular show, Bobby is not cooking. It is Brooke Williamson and Michael Vitaggio and myself. We're what they call the culinary titans. Our job is to protect the money, which is $25,000, hard cold cash. And
Mm,
the competitor coming in has a little bit of an edge. So the first round 1 and 2 are worth 10 points. Round 3 is worth 20 points. So the chef coming in can lose round 1 and 2 because it's points driven. So like, let's say you lose by 1 point, 2 points, you really couldn't make it up in round 3.
okay,
And in round 3, the chef that's coming in gets to pick the ingredients. Round 1 and 2, Bobby picks the ingredients.
okay.
And none of them are crazy ingredients. They're just like, the problem I feel like is there's so many things you can do with them that you have to try to figure it out, like calm your mind down, because there's so many. But it is incredible. Brooke and Michael both did Top Chef as well. I've never worked with them on Top Chef, like competing against them on Top Chef. But we all are in that kind of family, and we're finally on the same team instead of competing against each other. And that feels great to be a part of a team of just such esteemed chefs. It's so much fun.
Wow. And I know in a promo, Bobby Flay said that you serve upscale Southern cuisine, but he was like, but where your, ace in the hole comes in is your culinary travels. And
Yeah.
and people need to watch out for that. So don't get it twisted. I do Southern, right? And I might hit you with some Asian flavor, some,
Yes.
Caribbean, etc. So I
Yes.
love that. I love that.
Yes. He
Going
said
back to
that
my guess
coming
what
to
your
the
dad said
restaurant.
too, right?
Yeah.
Because you
I
don't
mean,
know
that's,
what he's gonna do.
you never know. I mean, last week I made a curry. So like you just never know. Or actually that was this week. But you just never know how my brain's gonna go when I see those ingredients.
I love
I
it.
don't
I
know.
love it. So in our last few minutes, you mentioned that you're going to Albania. How'd that opportunity come about? And can you share a little bit about it? What you're gonna be doing over there?
Sure. So I have the greatest opportunity to work with the U.S. Embassy. So I work and I travel a lot, going to different countries, talking about American cuisine, talking about Southern cuisine, finding the things that we have in common within food and stories and culture. And having those conversations with them. I do quite a bit of learning when I go,
Mhm.
but I am blessed to be able to represent the U.S. when I go to these places. So I've been to India, I've been to Mumbai, I've been to Kolkata,
Nice.
I've been to France, I've been to Vietnam. I did events with Dakar. So I know that it is an incredible honor, and I don't hold it lightly. And it's great because I had to talk about entrepreneurship. I've done entrepreneurship classes. I've done health and sustainability classes. We've done a lot of food waste initiatives. It really can vary from media events to cooking to lecture classes. So I've done a lot.
Wow. Would you say, Chef Mama, I made it?
I would
Okay.
definitely. I mean, there is so much that I've done in
Mhm.
this life, but there's still so much more I want to do. And I
Mhm.
think a few years ago, I stopped seeing myself as just a chef and I started seeing myself as a business person. And
Okay.
that was important for me because as a chef, I feel that I always need to be connected and in the kitchen and
Mhm.
dealing with food. But there's so many other things that I believe need my attention. I think that, roles within government and food policy is important to me. Teaching young people and older about how to create sustainable business practices is also important. And I love working with young people.
Wow.
So for me, it's not this one-sided chef in the kitchen, only create recipes. My opinion matters. I think that I am able to look at circumstances from two different sides and figure out what's the commonality there.
Mhm.
So I know that I am more than just a chef.
Awesome. And so speaking that advocacy, going back to that 15-year-old in IHOP being told no women in the kitchen, how are you advocating and making sure that women, all women, have the right to cook and be where they want to be? Because I know you're doing some advocacy work around that and gender equality,
Yes,
right?
I talked to many different women in different areas. I'm getting ready to talk to a group of women farmers, which is
Okay.
incredible. Women in whiskey, women in wine. Like we are creating so many different paths, and I think just people being able to see what other folks are doing, whether that's other women of color or just women in general, is important because for so many, representation truly does matter.
Right.
And if they can't see it, they can't really believe it.
Right.
So I think, one, showing what we can do, also pulling resources together. We don't have to do it alone. Some of us did do it what felt like alone.
Okay.
But now we're at a place where we know more people, we have connections, we have resources, whether that be mentorship programs that I do a lot of within the La Dame Escoffier, whether that's the government programs that we do where we're connecting people and just showing, whether it's TV, and just showing that, hey, anything's possible, as long as you just don't give up on yourself, right? Like, it doesn't happen quickly. You know, I've been in the restaurant business now 25 years, and I'm
Wow.
getting the most success right now at year 25.
Wow.
Um, so there was a lot of years before that where I was just working head down, figuring it out, making mistakes, coming back stronger.
Wow.
And so I just say, don't give up on yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. And as we get ready to wind down 2022, get ready to go into 2023, what are some other projects that you can maybe share with us?
Yeah, it looks like we're going to open 3 restaurants next year.
Wow.
Looks like that's happening. Oh my gosh. That's on the roll. Hopefully we can finish and be open for those who want to franchise Root Chicken Shack. We should be on a good spot for that by the end of by next year.
Mhm.
We also have a spice line called Chef, SHEF,
Nice.
Spice,
Nice.
and that is in HEBs all over Texas. If you're in Houston, it's in every Houston store. It's in Beaumont, Port Arthur, Austin, Dallas now. Dallas just opened their first HEB. And so that's going on. My dairy wear, which is my apparel line, is going strong. There's definitely lots happening, but there's more that's going to happen for sure.
Awesome. Well, Chef, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. This has been just awesome catching up. And, I want to say there's one thing I remember about you when we did our event together years ago. I think it was like 2014. And I remember it was an event for the community, and I had someone else cooking your recipes. And I remember they were starting to serve, and you said to me, basically, I did not approve this, or I did not taste, and that sticks to me today. But it just shows how serious, but you want your food to be right and to be represented, and that moment has always stuck with me to this
Sounds about
day.
right.
You like, I did not test this food before it came out. So thank you for just being, just really all these years of just, showing us what you do, what you love, and just being who you are in this industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, thank you to you for staying consistent and
Thank
pushing
you.
through and fighting for us and telling our stories and always being a great supporter. So, thank you so
Anytime.
much.
Anytime. Where can listeners find you?
They can find me on social media at Master Chef TD, as in Tiffany Derry. You can also just put in Tiffany Derry. My website is tiffanyderryconcepts.com. Check out my restaurants, Roots Chicken Shack, Roots Southern Table. And if you're ever in Dallas, please, please come see me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, this is Diaspora Food Stories. I'm your host, Cherie Williams, and we'll see you at the next episode. Bye bye.